What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Barber Jase, back with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day, and welcome back to another haircut tutorial. We are live and direct in the new Barber Jase studio, and I got my guy Man Like Screw. He desperately needs a haircut. We're gonna transform him, and I got my guy DXZ Films. He's gonna bless me with a fire video. Let's jump straight into the haircut. So now I'm using a number 5 just to remove some bulk. The sides are going to be much shorter than a 5, but just to be safe, I'm going to use a 5 to remove all that bulk on the sides. This part of the haircut doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not creating a shape, I'm just literally removing the bulk. I only do this if the haircut is really overgrown, but if this was a normal haircut, I'll just use the number 3 to remove the bulk and to create shape. You could also do a bit of clipper over comb to remove some of this bulk, but I decided to just go straight in with a number 5. Next step, we're going to wet the hair down, and now I'm going to create my shape. So now I'm going to separate the top and the sides by creating a horseshoe section. As you can see, I'm using my comb, the side with the missing tooth. That should help me create a nice clean section. And now I'm just going to pull the hair out and do some block graduation. The reason why we separate the top by creating a horseshoe section, so that we can see the weight on both sides to make sure it's nice and even without having the length on top get in the way. A lot of barbers are doing this technique now, which just gives it a more balanced and even cut and gives it a better shape. As you can see right here, I'm checking both sides, making sure it's nice and even, and I'm going to take my first section here on the right side and I'm going to pull that down into my guide. I'm over directing it slightly down to keep a bit of weight, and I'm going to cut to my guide. Towards the front, I don't cut it directly to my guide. I angle my fingers, point it slightly down to keep a bit of length on the fringe. Now I'm going to do a middle parting and take the next section, and I'm going to repeat the same step and cut to my guide. After the right side is done, I'm going to do the same on the left. This is going to help me connect the top with the sides. Even though I haven't cut the length on top yet, this is going to give me an indication on how much I should cut off the top, because the length of the hair on top that's going to connect into the block graduation is going to be the same. So now that my haircut is connected, I can pull the hair up and I should be able to see a point at the top. The shape should look like a triangle, longer in the middle, and this is going to determine how much length to take off. I want to make it quite square, so I know I need to take off at least half the length on top to balance out the haircut. Maybe a little bit less than half, but that should balance out the shape a lot more, and I'm going to cut the top square, but behind the apex I'm going to cut it round. I'm also rounding the fringe slightly at the front, which is going to make the fringe less heavy. As you can see right here, I'm pulling the hair forward, following the shape of the head. Now cutting my layers, I'm going to use that guide that I created in the middle, and I'm going to cut it square, so as you can see my fingers are horizontal, and I'm just going to cut straight to the guide. Now cutting the left side of the profile line. This side I'm cutting from my guide, which is at the tip of my finger. Same again, I'm going to keep it nice and square, cutting it horizontal. The more you get to the side, if the hair is too short, you don't have to cut it because the connection is already done. So right here I'm cutting the back. I'm going to change up the shape and I'm going to cut it round so it's not as heavy around the crown. I'm following my guide from the apex. And as you can see right here, I'm pulling the hair following the shape of the head, and I'm rounding my fingers. So after cutting my layers, I need to check my work, cross-checking, making sure the shape is good, and also if I've missed any hairs, now's the time to correct it. So putting the hair out, look, slightly longer there. I'm going to adjust it just to make sure it's perfect. There's a slight peak there, I'm gonna just dust it off and just adjust the shape. Here I'm checking the shape, slightly longer on the right side. Being a good barber is being able to check your own work and being able to correct it and to adjust it to make every haircut you do better. So here I'm just pulling down the fringe and I'm just dusting off the ends just to give the fringe a better shape. You don't need to cut too much off, just the ends. So now that the top is done, I'm going to spray a bit of deep moisturizer and a bit of curl spray before I blow dry it. So mixing it up, little cocktail before I use my diffuser to dry it off. Normally my client's screw, he lets it dry naturally, so the best way to do that is to use the diffuser. It just speeds up the natural drying process. So let's start the clip work. I believe I got a number 3 on, and I'm just going to start from the bottom and I'm just going to blend that straight into my block graduation, which I did at the beginning. So floating up, keeping it nice and square. I don't really need to remove much bulk because everything above the block graduation is already connected and blended in. Now using a 2.5 and 2, and this is just going to set me up for my fade. So at the back I'm flicking off just below the occipital bone, and this is going to help me create a nice shape and set me up to a nice, clean, blurry taper. Make sure you hit the like, comment and subscribe if you're liking this video, guys. Big up to all my subscribers and everyone watching. Let's start the fade. So now inserting my placement line. I thought I'll switch it up today, and I'm using my Babyliss skeletons to create a nice, sharp, harsh line. So now my placement lines are all in. Let's fade the lines out. So to start off the fade, I'm using a 0.5 and I'm going to create a guideline. Straight above that, I'm going to put my 1 guard on, open that up, and I'm going to create another guideline with the 1 open. Doing the same thing on the back, 0.5 placement line, and I got my 1 guard in my hand. I'm just going to pop that straight on and create another guideline. Same on the other side, 0.5, no guard, fully open, and I'm going to push it up again with the 1 open. After my guidelines are all in, I'm going to use a number 2 just to make sure everything above that 1.5 or the 1 open is a number 2, which is going to set me up nicely for my 1.5 guard. So now I've created all my guidelines all the way around. All I need to do now is to fade each side out using my half guards and then no guard to remove that last line. So it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. After your guidelines, you just need 2 guards to fade out the guidelines. Recently I've been using this technique to fade by creating guidelines, 0.5 guideline and my 1 open all the way around the head, and then after that it gives me an option to fade out the sides first, or I can just do each guard all the way around the head, depends how I feel, but to get a nice balanced fade I like to create guidelines. And if you have noticed, I used the seniors to create the guidelines and the legends to fade. The reason why is because the seniors, the lever doesn't open as much, so my guidelines are closer together, which means less work to take them out. Let me know how you guys fade, comment down below. What is your favorite technique, or what is your favorite method of fading? Let me know down below in the comment section. So finishing up the fade now. Both of the sides are done. I just need to fade out, touch up the back, maybe do a little bit of refining, and then I'm ready for my outlines. right here I'm just using my 1.5 guard, and I'm just going to use the corner of my clippers to almost taper out the hairline, so it's going to give me a cleaner shape up. It's going to give the haircut more longevity, and it might even give it a nicer tapered shape. So now using my trimmers to clean up the outlines to give it a nice sharp frame. After doing the outlines, this is going to tell you if your fade is clean, if you need to clean up any parts, or it can show you how clean your fade is. Now cleaning up the blend with a little bit of scissor over comb. With this type of haircut, you don't have to go too crazy with a scissor over comb because the top is heavily textured and the style that he wears it is quite messy, so as long as the shape looks good in the mirror, you're fine. Also the hair does curl up, so you don't want to take that blend too far in, otherwise it's going to end up looking like an egg. You want to keep a lot of that weight, it's going to create a nice shape. Just a little bit of refining will look cool. Sometimes less is more. Go easy on the scissor over comb, guys. So now we're finishing up the haircut. I'm just checking the shape, maybe point cutting, putting a little bit of texture in. Right here I'm just doing a little bit of freehand just to give that haircut a little bit more shape, and now I can see how it sits naturally. So now I'm just point cutting the little frizzy ends which are poking out. Tell me what you guys think of this haircut, guys. It was crazy. His hair was super long. It was a mad transformation. Big up to my man Screw, who left his hair for 6 months just for this YouTube video. Big up man like DXE Films, and big up to all my subscribers and to everyone watching now. Hit me up down in the comment section. Stay fresh, stay faded, stay blessed. It's your boy Barber Jase, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.